Well, hello there. Long time no see. A little over a year ago, I came out with a video explaining that I was going to do a low buy year for the year 2022. And little knowledge that I had of the future, as everyone has little knowledge of the future, things got challenging. It ended up being one of the most difficult first half of the years that I had, and I completely abandoned that challenge. But I made a promise to myself I would acknowledge my journey and explain why I failed doing a low buy year, because I made the rules very, very lenient on purpose, but even that was a lot more than I could acknowledge with everything going on behind the scenes. And that's okay.
Oh my God, okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
All I can say is retrospect now is you sweet, sweet poor child. You had no idea what was coming for you. Long story short, I ended up being in a very toxic job environment, which thankfully I'm no longer with anymore. But that alone made it very difficult for me to live daily life. I worked basically full time and I never had a break. So I would always end up stopping by and grabbing either fast food or going to a takeout restaurant to get a heavy lunch before my shift. So that way I could sustain 7 hours without really eating anything until I got home. Completely unhealthy. The whole thing was terrible and I was just doing what I could to survive. So that alone knocked out everything in the food category that I planned on trying to do. But thankfully, things got a lot better and I did a lot of healing. There was a lot more going on besides that, but this past year was a very healing year and I'm still healing every day. Not everything was a loss. There were things that I did that I was able to stick to. So I figured, let me talk about the differences, what I couldn't do and what I did learn from and what I did do. Jumping back into the food category is literally my worst category. I said last year that it was one of the hardest things for me. That's where I spent most of my money on, and that's still true to this day. Starbucks is still a bit of a kryptonite for me because I really, really love their chai tea lattes, but I have found the mixture to make my own chai tea lattes. The only problem now is I work a job that is morning hours and I'm not a morning person. So it's kind of switched where I'm like, yeah, I found the ingredients to make stuff, but I don't have the time to wake up early enough to make said things. So it's still a problem of convenience where I always end up running out and grabbing my breakfast on the way to work. And you know what? I admit that, and we are working on it every day. I would also like to add in that it's very simple for me to bring my own lunch to work now. I'm really grateful that I have that opportunity. However, the new problem now is that there's a social aspect of it. The people I work with now are amazing, wonderful people, and they always like to get food out. So of course I want to be part of that. So I understand that it's not helping me in terms of saving money, but it's also helping me in terms of being social and actually being able to like be a part of their group. So in retrospect, I'm like, I'm gonna go with that, even though I could be healthier and bring my own lunch, and I still do sometimes. But yeah, that's my own my own failure in a sense, because I understand that, you know, it will add up. But again, compared to everything else, spending like $50 on food a week, although not the greatest, is really not that much, especially with how much everything costs. So I just needed to add that in there too, because I understand personally that's not following any rules at all. But friends. Ironically, I did stop eating a lot more fast food. I feel the differences. I'm not a huge fan of McDonald's or Burger King anymore, and I really don't eat that much Wendy's in the top 3. But I will occasionally crave them. And after I crave them, I end up feeling really, really tired and laggy. And obviously, you know, you eat fast food, it's not healthy for you and you're not gonna feel your best. Same goes for White Castle. I still am the White Castle stan here.
I kept talking about White Castle last night so much it made me start to crave it too.
But I have noticed that after I eat White Castle, I get very tired and very laggy, and it's a progress and process for me to continue to eat a little bit healthier and a little bit cleaner. Ironically, the one fast food place that I end up spending the most money on now is Chick-fil-A. I understand that is not the smartest way to spend your money because I'm a very proud ally of the gay LGBT community, so I understand that supporting Chick-fil-A isn't the best, but everyone has their weaknesses and they really do have good food, and I'm sorry.
Talk, Valentina. Ally.
I will do better. I will try better. It's hard to remember everything you purchased in a year when you look back at this, but for the most part, I really did stick to it. For the most part, I was able to only thrift my clothes, which is something that I was already in process of doing. So that was a little bit easier for me to accomplish, but I still ended up buying a couple new things from like Disney or just like very rarely. I try to always support small businesses, and it's still on a journey. Everything is like a day-to-day thing. So that's the one thing I've learned from this whole experience, where even though I completely abandoned this whole idea, I still took a lot of lessons from it, and I'm still have it in the back of my mind. Ironically, all the videos that I wanted to make did not happen this past year. And so therefore, they got pushed over to this year. And this time it'll happen, I promise. I have my ideas already set to go. I have a plan already set to go. And everything in my life, apparently, it always seems to happen in a delayed sense. So if I make a plan, it won't happen until like a couple of years later or like a couple months later, and I'm trying to be better at it. But apparently my headspace and my whole life is just filled with delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification. Like, so this...
Delayed gratification.
I know, it's a long
Big
word. It's a long word.
If I were to continue on with this, it would be the same thing where I have ideas to do a lot with clothing for content, and that will all be thrifted for the most part as best I can, or made. There was a rule I put in there where it said exceptions would be made for anything I need essential-wise, like the winter boots. Well, my boots are still falling apart, but I did not buy any, and I'm really happy about that. I was able to hold out for another season. I'm hoping to hold out for one more following season, even though inside I do feel that there's holes in the boots, but they're still hanging in there, and I'm gonna hang in there until they're really torn apart and unusable to wear. But I'm very happy with the progress so far that I was able to do that. That's a proud moment. I was able to follow that and not buy things like that. Fantastic. It's not all a loss. I also really did well in, because I only needed a couple things. I was already so stocked up from the past that I really didn't buy anything new, except for setting spray, concealer, things that I really used up first. And I made sure to use them up first, and that was a win. That was a complete win, and I'm really happy about that, because my makeup routine is as minimal as I can get, and I'm just happy to keep on using up all my products and all my supplies. This is where I ended up wasting a little bit of money just because of all the circumstances. We were kind of in restriction mode, not in restriction mode. Things got postponed, things got rescheduled. I had concert tickets for friends, and then those concert tickets ended up getting rescheduled. And so unfortunately in that aspect, I ended up losing money on some of the tickets because not everyone was able to attend. But that's life. You win some, you lose some. The experiences are still fantastic and they're really important to do, and that's something going forward that I still want to be able to indulge in. I did not go to any zoos or any aquariums or anything like that on my list, and I did say it like last year. Normally I don't do that, but I want to be more versatile because there were amazing things to do, but nothing happened. So it was more of a low-key year, and in that aspect, didn't really need this category. I did get my Six Flags pass, and then they changed the entire thing around, and then I wasted money on the maze passes, and I totally got gypped out of my money with that because I only was able to go one time, and they raised the price up the mazes pass and cut back on the mazes. But I felt like I was gonna be able to go more, and that didn't happen. So that was a little bit of waste of money, but again, that's life. It's okay. We're learning, we're growing.
This is fine.
Still have the same subscriptions. Again, only putting maybe about $100 or so towards them each month. And I'm always aware of the subscriptions I have. I always have them on a list on my phone to keep track of them. Not that I have that many. I literally only have maybe 7 in total, but I'll go and flip-flop between all of the streaming services. The biggest takeaway and the lesson I learned is I still struggle so much with food. Food is where I spend the most of my money, and that's how it was prior, and it still is, because convenience is very hard, especially when you're working full-time and running around and trying to get everything done. And that is the bigger problem here, and I think that is the bigger area, especially if you're trying to do it all by yourself. So it was a very interesting experience, even though I abandoned it because I felt like my life fell to shit for a temporary time. I had a lot of struggle to go through.
This is fine.
But I did it, I survived, we're here, we're back, and I'm hopeful for the future once again, although I'm a little bit afraid because at the end of that video, I was saying how excited I was. I'm really excited for this year, and I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. Yeah, that took a little bit of time. It wasn't until July that everything kind of looked up again. So the first half of 2022, I went through hell. Personally, it was a huge mental struggle, and we're only better for it today. Tried to do a low buy year, was not mentally prepared for a low buy year, but I did learn some lessons, and I have better routines that I keep trying to implement in my daily life. Everything is so expensive nowadays, which is a whole other category, and that's the more important message, where we're all needing to get paid more and people need a much better living wage. That's a whole other rabbit hole, but I just wanted to put an update up here before I jump on any other new videos to keep myself accountable and to acknowledge that I tried something, it didn't work out, but it wasn't a complete loss. With all that said, it's a brand new year. I'm gonna go back to focusing on fun. That's something that needs to be done more, and everything is so serious. Everything is so sad anymore. There is so much turmoil in the world, and we just need to have some relaxation, some fun, in a healthy, wonderful way. And that will be the goal for the year. And I am cautiously excited to see how much better this year can be, because last year, I'm so happy it's over. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.